The night Mara Voss discovered her family's secret, she was standing outside a locked office at their secluded estate in Ashford, Oregon, listening to her father tell her stepmother that the family trust would soon belong entirely to her younger brother, Julian, while Mara would be quietly removed from every document that mattered. For 29 years, Mara had believed she was the daughter who had earned her place through loyalty and hard work. But when she heard her father say, "By tomorrow morning, she won't have anything left to claim," she realized the family she trusted had been preparing to erase her long before she ever suspected it. Instead of confronting them, Mara waited until the house fell silent and entered her father's private archive, using a key she had once been given to manage his business records, where she discovered old property deeds, hidden trust documents, and a sealed envelope bearing her late grandmother's handwriting. Inside was a letter explaining that Mara had inherited a controlling interest in the family's historic shipping company years earlier, but her father had concealed the transfer because he wanted Julian to eventually control the business, and the final page contained a warning that made Mara's hands tremble. If they ever try to take everything from you, look beyond the accounts. The real betrayal is hidden in the company records. The following morning, Mara went to the company headquarters in Port Sterling and quietly reviewed years of invoices, payroll records, and vendor contracts, expecting to find ordinary mistakes, but instead uncovering a carefully constructed scheme involving fake suppliers, inflated construction costs, and millions of dollars being diverted through companies registered under borrowed names. One particular account repeatedly received payments from the company's largest contracts, and when Mara traced its ownership through layers of paperwork, she discovered that Julian and her father had been using it to finance a luxury development project that had nothing to do with the business, while dozens of employees were being told there was not enough money to increase wages or protect their retirement benefits. Mara immediately contacted an old university friend, Daniel Reyes, an independent forensic accountant who had no connection to her family, and after 3 hours of examining the records together, he looked across the table and said, "This isn't a family argument anymore, Mara. Someone has been stealing from the company, and they're preparing to make you the scapegoat." They developed a plan that did not involve revenge or destroying the company, but protecting its workers first. So Mara used the authority granted to her by the hidden inheritance documents to place critical company reserves under independent legal supervision, froze suspicious transfers, and preserved copies of every transaction before anyone inside the organization could destroy the evidence. Her family realized something was wrong sooner than she expected, and that evening, her father confronted her in the dining room, accusing her of sabotaging the company and threatening to have her arrested for unauthorized financial interference, while Julian stood behind him, pretending to be shocked. Mara calmly placed a folder on the table and replied, "If you believe I committed a crime, call the police, but before you do, make sure you explain why your private development company received payments from our employees' retirement fund." And for the first time, neither man had an answer. The situation exploded when an elderly warehouse supervisor named Samuel Price approached Mara after the confrontation and revealed that he had been keeping handwritten copies of suspicious shipment records for nearly 2 years, because several employees had noticed that expensive equipment was disappearing from inventory. Samuel admitted that he had been afraid to speak because his entire family depended on the job, but he finally handed Mara a battered notebook and whispered, "Your grandfather always said this company belonged to the people who built it, and I think he would want you to know what they've done." The notebook led Mara to an unexpected discovery buried inside an old shipping ledger. Her grandfather had created a succession clause stating that if the company was ever endangered by fraud or deliberate mismanagement, voting control could temporarily pass to a protected employee council rather than a single family member. Even more shocking, the clause had never been removed because Mara's father had never realized her grandfather had placed a second sealed copy with the company's original attorney, And when Daniel located that attorney's successor, the documents were authenticated, giving Mara and the employees a legal path to prevent the company from being sold or stripped apart. Then came the revelation that changed everything about Mara's childhood, because a retired family accountant named Evelyn Shaw contacted her and admitted that Mara's mother had not abandoned the family, as Mara had always been told, but had spent years trying to expose financial misconduct before dying under circumstances that had been officially dismissed as an accident. Evelyn had kept evidence hidden because she feared Mara's father, and when she finally revealed the truth, Mara understood that the lies surrounding her adoption, her mother's disappearance, and her father's control of the company were all connected to the same desperate effort to protect a powerful family reputation. Within weeks, investigators uncovered enough evidence to charge Mara's father, Julian, and several outside partners with fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy, while the family's carefully protected image collapsed under the weight of documents they could no longer deny. Julian eventually admitted that he had been manipulated by their father for years, and although Mara could not erase what he had done, she refused to let hatred dictate her future, choosing instead to establish a scholarship and housing program for employees' families while restructuring the company, so workers received ownership shares and financial decisions could no longer be hidden behind one powerful family. A year later, Mara stood inside the renovated Port Sterling headquarters beneath a photograph of her grandfather and announced that the company would remain independent, transparent, and partly employee-owned, while her father awaited trial and Julian worked toward rebuilding his life after accepting responsibility for his actions. Mara finally understood that family was never proven by a surname, a bloodline, or a place at a dinner table, but by the people who stand beside you when doing the right thing. Becomes expensive, frightening, and lonely, and she had lost the family. She thought she knew only to discover something far more valuable among the employees, friends, and strangers who had chosen honesty over silence. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.